Hello everyone, and thank you for inviting me in this side events. Thanks a lot to the organizer for selecting this important topic with related of the evaluation of the human rights in the Gulf. And I try to focus in my short speech and contribution over the evaluation of the human rights in Bahrain. As many thinks or they think that the current condition of the human rights in Bahrain is improving, and the government is trying hardly to promote for misleading information that human rights conditions in Bahrain improved systematically. I don't think so, and I can discuss with you today in my short speech about the current condition of the human rights. Within recent years, we can see a mild change in the policy of the governments toward the issues of the human rights. I can name that the government tried to promote that National Institution for Human Rights, for example, has become more independent, although it is not the same, and the late related committee postponed evaluation of the National Institute of Human Rights to be upgraded because still they are not sure that standards and the measures that to be evaluated, the condition of the National Institute of Human Rights is to the upscales of the Paris Principle. In the same time, we could see the government adopted what being called a National Human Rights Action Plan, and that's been launched in 2022, late 2022. But meanwhile, if we evaluate the content of this plan, we can see the core and grave human rights violations are not being touched deeply. For instance, the conditions of the those who've been sentenced to death. We have now 12 in a row, and they consumed all local judicial process. And at any moment, if the king verify and signed the order to be executed, and they could be done so. Yet it's not been executed, and that's good, but we are still think that to be considered as a little bit worrying issue. Second issue, which not been deeply considered to be solved through this national institution and national human rights action plan, is the revocation of nationality. Although in 2019, 551 of those who are nationalities have been revoked, have been reinstated, but yet we have 434 Bahraini citizens still their nationality has been revoked, and yet they are not being reinstated. And this plan didn't touch this issue. The related issue of the rights of the Bahraini women to pass their nationality to the children is nothing being mentioned, and still we think that to be solved, and it is totally not in the standards of international conventions, even those which have been signed by Bahrain, that women should have equal right and they can have the right to pass their nationality to their children. Bahraini women, they have the right to pass the nationality to their children. And we can see a lot of families are suffering because they are deprived of their basic citizenship right due to so. Meanwhile, the conditions of the prison. Although in the last 2 months we could see that many number of the prisoner of conscience been released, around 600, and Eid al-Fitr, 2 months back almost, been released by a royal decree and pardon by the king. Still we have an average of 600 prisoner of conscience behind the bars, including the opposition's leaders. Still, there is no indications what to be done about them, and we think that they should be released immediately. Even though those who've been released, still their rights is not being granted. Still, Now sometimes they are protesting to get their housing right, for their employment right, and so on. And if we can raise up another important issue, which is related to the political and civil rights. Unfortunately, the authorities, after they banned political oppositions parties in 2016 and 2017, in 2018 they made amendment to the political rights law to ban all their members for all their basic rights, all their civil and political rights. We can have now an average of 80 to 90,000 Bahraini citizens are deprived for their basic political rights, which they don't have right to vote nor to candidate themselves for any elections. And in the meantime, they expanded that banning to their other civil rights. For example, they cannot nominate themselves for any types of the charity funds, neither sport clubs or cultural clubs or social clubs and so on. They cannot be part of the board members at all. So in short, we find that Bahrain conditions, there is no indication of any types of the core solutions to the human rights violations, although there are some indications of the, let me say, the safest type of the solutions, but that cannot be guaranteed until we can find out the major changes within the constitution, within the local legislations, and the same time adaptation of the full package of the human and political rights in Bahrain. Once again, I thank you and wish you a very good side event. Thanks a lot.